Pastor Ryan, I'm the children's pastor here, and I have the honor and privilege of bringing you the word this morning. Pastor David and Pastor Tracy are in New Orleans today. They are ministering a church there, and we're excited to be able to send them so that they can be a blessing to that congregation. In 2 weeks, it's Mother's Day weekend. But it's also a weekend that we are converting to our summer schedule. We'll be going from 4 services to 3. We'll have one Saturday night, and it'll take place at 6 p.m. We've been talking about empowered for increase. Empowered for increase. And over the last few weeks, we've looked at living and leading a spirit-filled life, the power of Pentecost, and I can do all things through Christ. And today, we're looking at empowered for increase. It is your destiny. Turn in your Bibles to Luke chapter 15. For the next few moments, we're going to be talking about dads and their sons. I'll be reading from the New International Reader's Version. And if you're like me and you like to use the little devices to use the Bible, you can just go to the top and change the translation to NIRV if you want to follow along. The words will also be on the screen for your convenience. Here we go. Luke chapter 15, starting with verse 1. The tax collectors and sinners were all gathering around to hear Jesus. But the Pharisees and the teachers of the law were whispering among themselves. They said, "This man welcomes sinners and eats with them." Let's pray. God, we're thankful for this day. Thank you for the weather you've provided. And God, we ask that you would speak this morning to both our hearts and our minds. May we leave here changed, knowing your heart and our destiny. In Jesus' name, amen. There were 2 kids that were sitting around talking to each other, and the first kid said to the other, he said, "I'm worried." He said, "My dad, he works 12 hours a day and works so hard to provide a roof over our head and clothes for us to wear. And my mom, she works night and day cleaning the house and doing the laundry and cooking me food. It's got me worried sick." The second boy said, "What are you so worried about? Sounds to me like you've got it made." Which the first boy replied, he said, "I know. I just hope they don't escape." When it comes to our kids, we want the best for them, especially when it involves their future. My dad was the one in my life who first introduced to me the concept of the American dream. The American dream is listed as this. It's the national ethos of the United States, a set of ideals in which freedom includes the opportunity for prosperity and success, and an upward social mobility achieved through hard work. The idea of the American dream is rooted in the United States Declaration of Independence, which proclaims that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by the Creator with certain inalienable rights, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But the way he presented it to me went something like this. We live in a land of opportunity. You can become anything that you want. As a matter of fact, Ryan, you could grow up to be president of the United States one day. That was my dream. I wanted to become president of the United States. We see that's working out so far. That's right. But I have to admit, I think I was a little confused about the American dream. You see, I thought the American dream was about my dream, when really, the American dream is about my parents and their dream for me. You see, if we stop for a moment and really think about it, we realize that kids become what they're exposed to. Kids become what they're exposed to. You see, soldiers raise up soldiers. Politicians raise up politicians. Athletes raise up athletes. Businessmen raise up businessmen. And kids of entertainers, usually they become entertainers themselves. You know, a 16-year-old doesn't one day wake up and say, "You know what, I think I'll try out for the Olympics in gymnastics." Yet we hear the stories of the gold medalist who's 16 years old. Their parents decided when they were 2 years old that I think you should have a shot at gymnastics. There was no clue as to whether or not they had the ability, skill, or that was their desire. It was the parent's dream that they put on that child. You know, when I drive my kids to school every day, we like to jam out to Toby Mac. And for the last 3 albums that Toby Mac has put on, there's been one song in each of them that his son Pruitt has recorded a song. What other kid gets that opportunity to have a song recorded and put on a CD that's going to sell millions of copies around the world? You think he's set up? He could have a music career if he wanted. Now, my wife and I, we had 5 children. And all 5 of them have names that start with R. So when one of them's in trouble, we just go through the list, whatever. You know, they all hear their names. They all think they're in trouble. But my oldest, his name is Brandon. When he came along, I was excited for him because I had a dream for Brandon. I was thinking, you know what? What if a kid from a very early young age was exposed to as much technology as possible? Could they do something crazy? And so one of the first toys I got him, get all the baby shower stuff, they're getting him all the regular toys, and little stuffed soccer balls and baseball stuff. And what I got him was a keyboard I clipped the cord to and said, pretend you're on a computer. When he was 1 year old, I went on eBay and bought him his first computer. I had to disable the right click on the mouse. He was getting frustrated because he always hit the right one, the train on the left one. But I surrounded him with technology because here's what I think, is that if he is exposed to technology, that as he's learning, as he's developing, it's going to become second nature to him. And I think maybe one day my son Brandon could be the next Bill Gates or Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg. I don't know, sounds like a good dream, right? That's my American dream for my son. And this was proven just a little over a month ago that a 17-year-old in the UK created an iPhone app that he sold for $30 million. Now, going back to Luke, chapter 15. I wonder where we're going with this, right? We find the Pharisees and the teachers of the law struggling over who Jesus was supposed to be. You see, in Jesus' time, a kid grew up to be the profession that their parents were. Jesus didn't have a choice when it came to his first career. Jesus trained to be and became a carpenter, just like his dad Joseph. And if we even look at the first 2 disciples, James and John, they were fishermen, just like their dad Zebedee. Back then, your career was decided before you were ever born. But can you have a different destiny? Will your destiny be changed? In Luke chapter 4, Jesus began his ministry after 40 days of temptation in the wilderness at the age of 30. In verse 14 it says, Jesus returned to Galilee in the power of the Holy Spirit. He was empowered to do what God called him to do. At that moment, he was no longer a carpenter. However, we find that as he went home, when he went back to Galilee, that people questioned, who is this guy? As a matter of fact, in verse 22, they asked each other, isn't this Joseph's son? What they were really thinking was, how can a carpenter change to become a powerful teacher of God, let alone the Son of God? Can you change your destiny? Kids following in their parents' footsteps and influence is an age-old concept. We even find this idea of dads' and sons' destinies being intertwined in our own entertainment. For example, Star Wars. Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker. I'm going to pretend to be Darth Vader.
You can destroy the Emperor. He has foreseen this. It is your destiny. Join with me, and together we can rule the galaxy as father and son. Maybe he was saying, join me, maybe?
So I asked him what this means. He said that I had 2 teams. I told him there's no way that But now you're standing right here, and I am sensing your fear. You don't hide shedding a tear and screaming, there's no way. Your hand is urging up high, the wind is blowing, like King Saber's blowing. Why don't you guess who's your daddy? Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy. But I'm your father, so join me maybe. That's like a movie. Alright, I'm sorry, you know that I'm your father. So join me maybe. I just met you, and this is crazy. I'm your father, so join me maybe. You and your sister, I don't hate me, but I'm your father. So join me maybe.
I'm your father, so join me maybe. Oh man, it's so commonplace in our society for kids to follow their parents' footsteps that actually we are kind of shocked when a kid breaks free of that and they do something that's totally unexpected, when they appear to change their destiny. Now for my story, my dad was in the military. He was in the Air Force. He was a career NCO. He served for 26 years, and that's what my brothers and I knew growing up. And would you believe it? Well, myself and my two brothers joined the Air Force. Now, I went to the Air Force Academy, and while there, I had an encounter with God. And God spoke to me and says, I want you to give this up, and I want you to become a pastor. And I did. I immediately switched over, and my life's destiny was changed. Now, I've been kind of proud of that idea that I've broken free of the destiny that was kind of pre-written, soldiers, raise up soldiers. And here I am doing God's work. And it appears that I've been able to break free of it, but I was reminded recently that a father's influence is not just about career choice, but a father, they influence us in other ways, what they're into and what skills and abilities that they have. And remember, the fact of the matter is kids do what they are exposed to. And recently my wife, my mother.
You didn't do that.
Yes. My mother reminded me that she was looking at some of the videos that I've been making and videos that I've been in. She said, Brian, do you remember the very first video you were ever in? And I was trying to think, my first video I was ever in. Turns out it was when I was 10 years old in 4th grade. A long time ago. The only people that had video cameras then were news reporters. And I was on the news. You see, I was in 4th grade, and we had decided in our school to create a school yearbook. And for some reason, that was news in Western Florida. And they came in and did a report about the 4th graders making a yearbook. And I was the photography editor of the yearbook, and so I got to be on camera. And they asked me a question. That's what they asked me. They said, Ryan, did you ever know or did you ever think that you would get into photography? And what do you know? I actually had that footage this morning. You get to see Ryan as a 10-year-old. Listen to my answer.
3rd grade photography class. Now this year's 4th graders, they are learning the business of publishing from the ground up. These Oak Hill Elementary students voted to put out a yearbook for their class project. Each grade at the school has a yearly project to raise money for school equipment. Some enjoy the fundraising.
I've learned it anyway from my dad because he's a photographer expert because he learned from his dad, which is a photography expert.
So are you going to be a photography expert?
Yes.
I would have learned it anyway because my dad was a photography expert and his dad was a photography expert. So of course, I knew it as a 10-year-old. I would be a photography expert. And I look on that years later and what do? I make videos. Okay. But going back to Luke chapter 15, the Pharisees and the teachers of the law are wrestling with who Jesus is supposed to be. You see, they've been able to make the jump that he's no longer a carpenter, carpenter, but now he's claiming to be the Son of God. And if he really is the Son of God, then who's he hanging out with? Does he realize who's next to him? You know, if he's the Son of God, I mean, then he would know that those aren't good people. Those are people that don't love God. Does he even realize this? So they're struggling. But who is he supposed to be? See, Jesus knew what they were thinking. He knew their thoughts. And he knew what they're struggling with. And he could have said, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize who I was with. Yes, let me come join you, Pharisees and teachers of the law. You know, Jesus was to come here to Olathe today. We would expect him here being our guest speaker instead of me. We'd be excited for that, but you know what? If Jesus was here today, he wouldn't be here. This is why they were shocked. This is why they're confused. Jesus, knowing their thoughts, he decided to tell 3 stories. He became a short storyteller. Could have wrote children's books. And he told these stories, all 3 of them, had the word lost in it. The first story he tells is the story of the lost sheep. And he says, suppose, imagine with me that there was a shepherd who had 100 sheep. And every day he counted to make sure all those sheep made it back into the pen. He counts 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not going to count that high. 96, 97, 98, 99, 100. Good. They're all safe and sound. Well, one night, he counts the sheep as they get back that night. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 96, 97, 98, 99. There's your sheep. He recounted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 96, 97, 98, 99. He was gone. He was missing a sheep. Now, he still had 99 out of 100 sheep. And if this was school, it's an A+, 99%. But this shepherd said, no way, Jose. Where's that sheep? I got to do something. I got to go find that sheep. And he has no other choice but to leave the 99 and go after the 1. You might have felt how I feel sometimes when we leave our kids at home. It's like, hope they survive. When you have 5 kids, your perspective just changes. You know, one less mouth to feed, okay. Just joking. He leaves the 99. He goes after the 1. He searches frantically all over the hillside for that 1 sheep. And when he finds that sheep, he takes that sheep and picks it up. I would have thought he would take a stick and beat it on the backside. Come on, get back to the gate, come on! What are you thinking, being out? Come on, you have me worried. No, instead, that shepherd, he picks up the sheep, puts it around his shoulders, and carries him all the way back to the pen. Make sure he's safe and sound back in the pen. He gathers up the rest of the shepherds and says, guys, I lost a sheep tonight. But I went out and I found it. And I'm so excited. Let's party together tonight. Luke 15, verse 7. I tell you, it will be the same in heaven. There will be great joy when 1 sinner turns away from sin. Yes, there will be more joy than for 99 godly people who do not need to turn away from their sins. Jesus goes on to tell a second story. Lost coin. He says, suppose, imagine with me, that there's an old lady who's got 10 silver coins. And every day she counts her coins to make sure they're all there. They're obviously not in the bank. She counts them 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're all there. But one day, she counts her coins. 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. One missing. This lady freaks out. This lady says, I gotta find that coin. I gotta stop everything. And Jesus describes that she turns on a lamp and she begins cleaning her house, top to bottom, searching frantically, trying to find that coin, and she finds it. She finds that coin, and she goes to her neighbor and says, hey, I lost one of my coins tonight, but then I looked hard and I found it. Rejoice with me. Let's have a party. Party at my place, chips and salsa. heaven over one sinner who turns away from sin. He goes on to tell a third story, another lost story, this time a lost son. Said there was a rich man who had two sons. This man owned a lot, had a lot, and obviously this man talked to his sons about, guys, one day all this will become yours. You'll each get half of it. And when I think about my dad, when I think about what he has, I know one day I'll get what he has. But there's one thing in particular that my dad has that I really, really want. So let me tell you about it. When I was 17 years old, I lived in West Texas, San Angelo, Texas. And I was in marching bands, and my dad would pick me up after school, after marching band practice, and every day that he'd pick me up, we'd drive through some back streets in town to go by this old used car lot. Because in this used car lot, there is a 55 step-side Chevy pickup. It was all rusted and everything, and my dad's like, Brian, you gotta check this out. You gotta look at this. And I'm like, Dad, I don't think it even runs. It's ugly. But he began to explain to me every day as we went by to just look at that truck and stay and wait 5-10 minutes and just look at the truck. Looked like Mater without the toe. But he began telling me and teaching me about the trucks and how valuable that particular model was. It was the one with the wide back window. Really rare, really nice, V8 engine. And we began to dream together about this truck. Wouldn't it be cool if we had that? He started teaching me about truck restoration and said, we're going to have to decide one day whether or not that would we do a classic restoration or would we do a modern restoration? He asked, what color should it be riding? I said, it should be shiny black with chrome bumpers and chrome grill in the front and chrome hubcaps, and it looked nice. My dad said, yeah, we should have wood slats with chrome in between in the bed, and just imagine. And after a few months of driving there, my dad went out, got a loan, and bought that truck. And he got that truck, and it became our second vehicle, and he drove it to work every day, and it was only a 3-speed. Made lots of noise. You knew when he was coming. You could hear him downshifting half a block away. But that was our truck. And I told him back then, I said, Dad, are you really going to fix this truck up? He said, yeah, one day I'm going to fix it up. I said, Dad, I want that truck one day. Can it be mine? He said, sure. Now, years and years have gone by, and not much work has gone on the truck. It actually stopped running. Been parked forever, but then, about 5 years ago, my dad got really serious about it. So I'm going to set aside money, I'm going to make this thing happen. And he started getting really specific about what he was going to do. And he starts telling me, he calls me up and says, Ryan, I got it! What I'm going to do? I'm going to put a Corvette underneath this truck. I'm like, what? He says, I'm going to get a Corvette, put the engine, put the brakes, put everything, a Corvette underneath the truck. I'm like, okay, that sounds cool. Of course, at this point, we're talking 20 years of nothing. And then he does it. He gets a Corvette. And we got a pic of it. There's the truck. That Corvette no longer exists because it's now been modified to a custom frame that truck body is going to go over. It's happening. This truck is going to be slick. Bucket seats from a Charger with 6-point harnesses. It's going to be electronic with everything. It's going to be sweet. And I cannot wait till one day I get that truck. See, I reminded him again recently. Hey, Dad, remember that truck? You're working on it. Remember you said it could be mine? I said, yes, Brian. And I can just imagine how these two boys felt with their dad. Their dad had lots of stuff, and the younger brother, he's kind of a thinker. He says, you know what? Man, my dad might live to be 200 years old. I can't wait that long. I need money when I'm young. So he comes up with an idea and a presentation. He goes to Dad and says, Dad, you know how you said, half of everything you own is going to be mine one day? And Dad's like, yes, son. Yeah, that's what we've always said. It will be yours one day. You'll be blessed. And the boy says, but Dad, I've been thinking, it may take forever for you to die. So I would really enjoy having my half, my share right now. Now, Dad must have been impressed with his initiative, his foresight, his presentation, and just, wow. Because he decides to go ahead and give it to him. He gives him half of everything he owns. Says, here you go, son. Have fun, it's yours. The son immediately goes off to the big town, big city, and starts living the life. He gets the nicest place, penthouse suite apartment on the highest building, the nicest clothes. He starts throwing the biggest parties in town. He's got lots of friends now. He's eating well. But one thing he kind of forgot was when you got a bank account, you keep on making withdrawals and never making a deposit, you end up running out of money at some point. So it got to the point that the boy couldn't pay his rent. So he lost his place. He went to see if he could go stay with some friends and realized he didn't have any friends. They were only there because he threw the best parties. He was only popular while he had money. He had to sell everything he had bought just to try to eat, and then there's no money to eat. And he's sitting there thinking, what am I going to do? I'm sure my dad, who was always trying to give me advice, told me there's something I got to do to get money. What was that? Oh, yeah, a job. Dads are always full of great advice, right? He goes out and tries looking for a job, and he can't find a job because he has no skills. He has no experience, and really the only guy who will offer him a job is a pig farmer. He says, well, it doesn't take much skill to eat slop to the pigs. You can go do that. He says, dude, as long as I'm getting some money to get food, I'll do the job. So his job is to get the big slop buckets of garbage to feed to pigs and watch to make sure that they ate it all. This boy was so hungry. He got to the point that even that slop started to look good. For the past year, you have literally seen every pastor of this church get a little smaller. They've all gone through some diet plan or weight loss plan. And I've watched them all and seen their success and finally gave in to peer pressure and I'm on a plan. 3 weeks into it, and I'm becoming a smaller version of myself. But I think I can a little bit relate to this kid being hungry and craving food and imagining, I'm eating my piece of grilled chicken, wishing it was pepperoni pizza. Oh man, I gotta have some pizza right now. Or I'd like to have some cereal in the morning or something, but it is worth it. It's going to be worth it. But this kid, he's thinking about the slop, thinking, man, I'm so hungry, I can eat that. And as he's sitting there, and as he's thinking, man, starts thinking about his dad. And how he was a disappointment to his dad. He messed up. He blew it. He took half of what his dad owned and blew it, spent it all, and has nothing to show for it. And he's all feeling sorry for himself, and then he begins to think, oh, I'm so hungry. He's like, wait, my dad's servants even have a place to stay and have clothes to wear and have food to eat. And right now, I'm not even at that level. And he comes up with a crazy idea. It must have been hunger-induced. He says, what if I go back to my dad and say, Dad, I'm sorry for what I've done. I'm no longer worthy of being your son, but please hire me as a servant and I'll serve you for the rest of my life. So he gets up, he quits his job, and he heads back the long trek home. And what he doesn't know is that his dad, every single day, has been going over to the nearest hill and watching the road, saying, is today the day that my son comes back home? Is today the day? The boy makes the long trek and finally gets to one of the last hills, and as he gets over the top of the hill, he sees another hill, and he's like, whoa, there's somebody up there. Whoa. And he got a little nervous. He didn't know who it was, and maybe it's a stranger, maybe someone coming to rob him or hurt him. At the same time, Dad's on the hill, he's like, whoa, there's somebody coming towards our house. Maybe it's my boy. And so Dad begins walking towards this person he sees in the distance. And the boy, as he's stretching the line, is like, oh no, he's walking towards me. Oh no, he's probably going to hit me. And he kind of gets awkward, kind of thinking about the situation. You know, kind of like when you're in a hallway and you're passing by a stranger, you're like, what should I say? It's like, what's up? As the dad gets closer walking, he realizes, that is my boy. And he begins running. And imagine the boy forgot, oh no, he's running through me, he's going to get me. And then he realizes it's his dad running through. Oh no, he heard about what I did, he's going to kill me. The dad comes running up to him, puts his arm around him, headlock. No, gives him the great biggest hug he's ever given. My boy, you're alive. I love you so much, I missed you. And the boy's like, Dad, stop. I gotta talk to you. It's like, Dad, I blew it. I wasted all your money. I blew it. I'm no longer worthy of being your son. Can I just be hired as one of your servants? I'll serve you faithfully. I won't bother you or anything. Please. And Dad says, nonsense. That's not what we're going to do. You're my boy. You were lost, but now you're found. Come on, come with me, servants. Starts yelling for the servants. And this is what he says. Luke 15, 22, 24. But the father said to his servants, quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattest calf and kill it. Let's have a big dinner and celebrate. This son of mine was dead, and now he is alive again. He was lost, and now is found. Lost sheep, lost coin, lost son. Those aren't the only similarities. We see something being lost. We see something being searched for frantically. Something being found. And then it's party time. Let's celebrate. From these three stories, we see that the heart of God is for lost people to come to Him. For lost people to come to Him. This is what matters to Him most. And He celebrates. He throws a big party with all His angels every time a lost person comes back home. And since Jesus was the Son of God, then His destiny was to care about the same thing as well. He'd been exposed to God. He knew God. He was God. So of course, when He was on this planet, He was looking for lost people. He was with lost people. He said it so Himself in Luke chapter 19, verse 10. He said, the Son of Man, who is Jesus, came to look for the lost and save them. Amen. So what about us? When we accepted Jesus as our Savior, we became children of God. We were adopted into His family as sons and daughters. In Romans chapter 8, verse 14 to 16 says, those who are led by the Spirit of God are children of God. You didn't receive a spirit that makes you a slave to fear once again. Instead, you received the Holy Spirit who makes you God's child. By the Spirit's power, we call God Abba, Father. Abba means Father or Daddy. The Spirit Himself joins with our spirits. Together they give witness that we are God's children. See, it doesn't matter what career your dad did. It doesn't matter what destiny you have as far as jobs or what you do. When you become part of God's family, then you are His son, you are His daughter, and as you expose yourself to Him and He is exposed to you, then you cannot help but to get God's heart on this. And God's heart is for lost people. God's heart is for lost people. That's our dream here for Church of the Harvest. We actually call ourselves Church of the Harvest. Harvest is the idea, the actual process of people, lost people being saved. That is the harvest. We're not church of the committed, church of the core, church of the few, church of the small groups, church of the worshipful. We're church of the harvest. To care about the lost. To care more about who's not here than those we already have. Newsflash. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's about the lost. It's about the lost. When you came in today, in your bulletin, there was a card, an increase card. It looks like this. 6 months ago, we presented to you a vision to add on to our space here, to double our capacity. And the whole reason why we're doing it is because God has been sending us lost people, and He's been saving them, and we've been growing in numbers. Over the past 2.5 years, we have doubled in size. That is amazing. And we believe this is just the beginning. This is not the end, but that God's desire is to send us more lost people, because we're going to do whatever it takes to reach them for their lives to be changed. So in order to be entrusted with that, we've got to increase our capacity. And so we are doubling our square footage we're building. We're not looking to build a monument, a cathedral, something we say, oh, what a reverent place. What a nice place to feel good about church. It reminds me of my church when I was growing up. No. We're building a space that could have a bigger capacity, that could double the space of this room to reach more people in the service. Double the space of our kids' areas to reach more kids for His glory. Now, we've already secured a construction loan that's paying for the building. You look out there, you see, it's being built. Hopefully this week, if the weather cooperates, all the pipes that are supposed to be on the ground are finished. They'll begin putting the rocks down. And at the end of the month, should be starting to pour a slab. And the end of next month, putting up the steel and the frames, and we're going to see the skeleton of the building go up. This will be so exciting. Our prayer is that by Christmas time, we're in this new building. But we're not stopping there. We're also remodeling our next generation building, this existing building, dedicated to reaching kids and teens for Jesus. Now, we can't do this second part without all of us doing our parts. And we're going to have a building, but we got to be able to put things into the building. Places for us to sit, sound systems to get here, infrastructure and stuff like that. But we also need to be able to remodel this building and make it everything that's purpose and function is to reach kids and teens. Now, there may be some things about the building and things that are included that you may scratch your head and say, why are they including that? Why are they not including this? Why is it going to look like that? Why not like this? And let me tell you what lens and filter we're using on the building is that we believe this building is supposed to be a tool to reach the lost. A tool. Everything decision has been made with that in mind. Will this help us reach the lost? Will this be a place that the lost are comfortable in? Will this be a place that the lost will feel refuge in? Will this be a place that the lost would come in and not even realize that they're about to have their lives dynamically changed forever? Now, many of you filled out a faith promise card, and you prayed and you believed that God told you an amount that you should give over the next 12 months to support this. And together, we pledged that we would give $425,000. And we're halfway there already, which is awesome. We are halfway point, month-wise, 6 months, and we've given half of what we said we'd given. But we realized that we've grown over the last 6 months. There are those of you here today who you were not with us 6 months ago. You're not participating in this. And we don't want you to miss out on the blessing. See, because this is not about us. This is not about us having a nice place. This is about reaching the lost. This is what this church is. And if you have a heart, just like God's heart, to say it's about the lost, then we want you to be a part. We want you to be able to have a part of this. So next Sunday, we're having a special Sunday celebrating the halfway point, and we want to finish strong and make sure that we complete our pledges and that we complete over the next 6 months everything we said we're going to do so we can make plans and adjust accordingly. But if you haven't given or thought about what you should give, then consider coming next week with this card back with an amount and with the gift to start it off with. To plant a seed saying, I'm going to do this. I believe in this. Now, if you've already given to this, we're not expecting another card, but we'd like you to look to see how much have you given. Are you at the halfway point of which you feel that God told you should give? And we've heard stories of some of you that you stepped out in faith and you put an amount, and God has helped you finish early. So maybe God wants to bless you more. Could you seek God this week and say, God, is there anything else you want me to do to help reach the lost in Johnson County? Olathe. It's going to be a great week. Next week, as we look at that and celebrate that, we're hoping to reveal to you some shots of what we're going to remodel the next generation building into. And it's going to be great. Now, as we've been looking at what we're going to make this building look like and what is its purpose, we see God moving in a supernatural way, a way that we have never seen him work before. We believe that this next generation building, not only in concept but in design and function, is going to be a place where kids and teens are reached for God. And it may be in ways that we never would have imagined because, Johnson County parents, they sign their kids up for everything. So what if those things were here? What if when you signed up your kids for world-class art lessons here? What if your kids could learn computer coding here? What if your kids could learn drama or theater or music here? Who knows? But these are the ideas and the visions and the dreams that God's planting in our hearts as leaders to say, this is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to use this building. And we need to make sure it's in the design of this building. So our next generation building is going to have a dedicated computer lab to teach kids about computers and coding. As a matter of fact, over the last month, we were in contact with an organization that provides a curriculum for kids to learn coding. Not just HTML, but going on to jQuery and JavaScript and Python, and the list goes on. And they have agreed to give us the curriculum for free to use however we want. That's an open door. Let's go a step further. We don't even know what it's going to be used, but we're being open to God, saying, God, we want your heart. We want to reach the lost. How can you use us? How can you use our ministry? How can you use this tool of the building, this facility in our location? And God opened the biggest door I never would have saw coming. You see, this past year, the superintendent of the Olathe School District made a decision. He said, I want every single school in Olathe to have a faith-based partner. I want a church assigned to every school. That church supports and sponsors that school and helps that school out. And just 2 weeks ago, it became official that Church of the Harvest is the faith-based sponsor of Sunnyside Elementary School. Sat there in a special orientation where the assistant superintendent got up and said, this is what we're doing. It comes from the top down. There will be a church assigned to every single school. And she dressed it up front. She said, I know you're thinking, what about separation of church and state and all that stuff? And here's what our experience has been, that churches genuinely care about their community. And they'll do whatever it takes to love on kids. And that's what we want. And she looked at us and she said, those who are setting up as partners today, we want you to understand this is long term. Long term. This opens up doors. We got to meet with the principal. The principal is excited. We said, Principal, his name is David Kearney. We said, what can we do to serve your school? What can our church do? And he said, you know what my school needs? He said, my school needs positive role models to come and be at the school. He is inviting us to spend time at the school, to be there on campus. And so we are starting up a program this next school year that we're calling Eat, Hang, and Play. That every Friday, there will be people from our church, every Friday, hanging out with kids, eating lunch with them, and playing with them on the playground. Isn't that cool? Doors are opening. I believe we don't even fully grasp what it would be, but you know what? This is stepping up. We're going to need people to help out. You know, when we put together programs here at our church and we put together things and we say summer explosion is coming, the purpose of summer explosion is to reach the lost kids of our area. So when you sign up to volunteer to be a part of that, you're signing up to help lost kids meet Jesus. And when you sign up and you give a check to sponsor an event like Summer Explosion, you're saying, I believe in God's heartbeat, and what this church is all about is about reaching the lost. When you give as part of the increase, you're saying, I believe in reaching the lost, I'm a part. When you do those things, you're saying, I am a part. Now, we don't want to be like the older son, Jesus' story of the lost son. See, he went on in this story. And here's what he said. He said, the older son was in the field. When he came near the house, he heard music and dancing. So he called one of the servants, and he asked him, what's going on? Your brother has come home, the servant replied. Your father has killed the fattest calf. He has done this because your brother is back safe and sound. The older brother became angry. He refused to go in. So his father went out and begged him. But he answered his father, look, all these years I have worked like a slave for you. I have always obeyed your orders. You never gave me even a young goat so I could celebrate my friends. But this son of yours, he wasted your money with prostitutes. And now he comes home, and for him, you kill the fattest calf. My son, the father said, you are always with me. Everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and be glad. This brother is of yours. He was dead, and now he's alive again. He was lost, and now he is found. Let's not be like the older brother. Let's not be that when he gets angry, he says, it seems like all that church has to talk about is preaching me. All they ever want is money for that program or for that building, or they never get blessed. Let's choose to change our heart, change our attitude. Let's choose to be exposed to who God is, what his nature is, what his desire is. Jesus was explaining through story to these Pharisees and teachers of the law, yes, I am the Son of God, and I am doing exactly what God would be doing if he was here right now on this planet, being with the lost. Remember I told you about my son Randon? I had a dream for him. He's 12 years old, and he loves technology. He's getting very good with computers, and he's getting very good with coding. He's already learned HTML, JavaScript, jQuery, now he's learning Python. However, recently he rocked my world when he said, Dad, I need to talk to you. I said, I believe God is speaking to me, and he's told me that I'm supposed to be a children's pastor one day. Best news and worst news at the same time. You know, that even with my dream, my American dream, I'm projecting onto him. He can't help but to be exposed to his Abba God's dream to reach lost kids. What better way to end today's message than with a pep talk about what's important from a kid who wants to be president.
I think we all need a pep talk. The world needs to stop being boring. Yeah, boring is easy. Everybody can be boring, but you're good at that.
Life is not a game, people. Life isn't a cereal either. Well, it is a cereal. And if life is a game, are we on the same team? I mean, really, right? I'm on your team, be on my team. This is life, people. We got air coming through your nose. We got heart people. That means it's time to do something. A poem. Two roads diverged in the woods, and I took the road less traveled. It hurt, man! Rocks, thorns, and glass, particle. Wah! Not cool, Robert Frost. I want to get one that leads to awesome. It's like that dude Dream said, don't stop believing unless you dream a secret. You better dream and keep going. Keep going, and keep going. Will Michael Jordan have quit? Well, he did quit. No, he retired. Yeah, he retired. But before that, in high school, what if he quit when he didn't make the team? He would have never made Space Jam. What will be your Space Jam? What will you create when you make the world awesome? Nothing if you keep sitting there. That's why I'm talking to you today. This is your time. This is my time. It's our time. We can make every day better for each other. If we're all on the same team, let's start acting like it. We got work to do. We can cry about it, or we can dance about it. We were made to be awesome. Let's get out there. I don't know everything. I'm just a kid. But I do know this. Sometimes it gives the world a reason to dance. So get to it. Pep talk. Create something that will make the world awesome.
Create something that will make the world awesome. Let's build something here at the Harvest, where awesome means lost people knowing Jesus. Here's what I choose today. I will seek to have a heart like God's. Lost people matter to God, so they will matter to me as a son of God. I will realize it's not about me. I will choose awesome. I will choose to create something that makes a difference in God's eyes. I will choose to help start as many spontaneous parties in heaven as more lost people are found. Let's fulfill our place in God's dream to find lost people and save them. It is our destiny. It is our destiny. I'd like to stand. As we enter into our time of church interactive, a time of worship, you're going to have opportunity to praise God and worship Him for who He is. You're going to have time to worship Him through giving of our tithes and our offerings as you come down to the front. You can worship Him through communion. And if you need prayer this morning, there are people up here, part of our ministry team, who are ready to pray with you and believe with you in faith. But as we respond to this message here today, and we see that it's not about us, it's about the lost, I challenge you as you're worshiping God to say, God, give me a heart like yours. Pray that dangerous prayer and say, God, break my heart for the lost. Let me see people for how you see them. Make a decision today to be like your Father God. Do what He would be doing. Be a part of the mission. Let's do something.